Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Superhuman Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Dr. Matthew Accurso, and I'm just so honored once again to be with you today. I get to bring on a superhuman in the world of nutrition and cleansing. Her name is Elissa Goodman, and she's a holistic nutritionist and cleanse expert who believes that cleansing is a lifestyle and a daily practice, not just a trendy thing to do. Elissa works with clients to develop personalized wellness programs that encourage true health from the inside out. She's the creator of the food delivery program Soup Cleanse and a 21-day online reset cleanse. Her approach to cleansing is gentle and accessible. Elissa collaborates with health and wellness partners throughout Los Angeles, and her international best-selling book, Cancer Hacks, is available on Amazon. I recommend you check it out. You can also check Elissa out at elissagoodman.com. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Elissa Goodman. Elissa, how are you doing?
I'm good, Matt. How are you today?
I'm exceptional. We've already had an amazing conversation, so we're already off to an amazing start. you're
That's for sure. Energy. Yeah, we could have kept going. I tried to zip it.
Yes, no, me too. Me too. I know. Do you have that problem as well? I will just
I do.
Engage in conversation. 30 minutes later, I'm like, oh, we probably should start the show, right?
Yeah. Oh, have we gotten to the point yet?
Yes,
no.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. Well, I just want to thank you so much for coming on today. And I really am excited about the audience, the superhumans out there, hearing your story. And your story spoke volumes to me when I first read it, because it's so inspiring how you went through this battle with cancer, and then you came out on top. And not only did you come out on top, you are now changing and transforming millions of lives across the world through your Instagram, your social media, your website. So let's start from as close to the beginning as we can with your journey through your diagnosis, and then what made you think, okay, I'm going to take a different route than 99.9% of people in conventional medicine.
Yeah, I know. It's definitely, I still ask myself that same question, because it was definitely scary to take a different route. But in a nutshell, I have to say, growing up as a kid, I was always sick. I was labeled the sick kid. I was one of those kids that got every illness, if it's chickenpox, strep, tonsillitis, mono, shingles, like eczema, digestion issues, constipation. I feel like there wasn't anything that I didn't get. And I was one of those kids that stayed out late and I was sick the next day. So growing up, it was a little bit of a battle, staying healthy and feeling like I was never going to be the healthiest, like everybody else. I didn't feel like I fit in, because I was always, behind the eight ball. My parents were type A, so that made it doubly worse. They expected a tremendous amount from us. I had a brother as well. They just were very high achievers. They were super successful. So being sick all the time and kind of not, tired and not really being at my best made it even worse to be in a family where you were expected to be at your best. So I just want to preface that, because I think that's really one of the reasons, not the only reason, that I did get cancer. I feel like most of my life, I just accepted myself as being sick all the time. Then secondly, emotionally, I was like a little bit of a mess, because I was like, I'm not good enough. I'm not keeping up. I'm never going to be a superstar. I'm never going to be a success. Because how am I going to be all those things if I'm always behind the eight ball with not feeling well? So I think there's a huge emotional component behind illness, and of course, after getting cancer.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. I don't know how much you follow Dr. Joe Dispenza, but he talks about how the size of the neocortex in the brain is large enough to where, as human beings, when we turn on stress, due to the size of that cortex, it literally begins to change our body chemistry. And that's where, thoughts create disease. And at the other side of the realm is thoughts also can create health as well, right? I think that's
Right.
really cool. You know, a lot of times we think, well, you know, if I'm chronically stressed out, then I'm going to head down that road of disease and dysfunction. Well, you can change that.
Yeah.
Right. So that's really cool.
Right.
You're talking about
Exactly. I love him, actually, by the way. I spoke on a panel
cool.
with him a couple of months ago, and
Oh,
he's in the Heal documentary.
Yes,
right.
he is. Yep.
Yeah. A friend of mine did the Heal documentary, and I love all that. I'm into all the different modalities of health, and really, you're right. I mean, I think when your mind keeps saying you're not good enough, you're not, whatever it is, the negative like messages, your cells listen. So I definitely there's one of my favorite books out there called Radical Remission. You might know it, by Kelly Turner. She did her PhD. In 10 years, she investigated stage 3 and 4 cancer cases and how they healed themselves. And she came up with 9 modalities across the board. 7 of them were emotional. 1 was food and 1 was supplements. So It was like, holy crap. That is, it just, people healed themselves by going and meditating for a year. A stage 4 brain cancer guy who was told to get his life in order because he was going to die. I mean, he went down to Brazil, and basically I think it was down there longer than a year. And all those stories I really resonated with. And I always had this attitude growing up, even though, like I said, I felt behind the 8 ball and never totally well and energized like most people. I always had this feeling that life could be better, and that I had this power that I could change this if I really put my mind to it. But I think I needed to hit the wall, as most of us do, to put my mind to it. And that's when the cancer came into play. When I got diagnosed with cancer and I supposedly had the dream job working, I was in the advertising business. I just got a job with Vogue magazine, and I was diagnosed with the cancer. And that's when I realized, wow, my life at 32 is not working, and I'm not happy. I'm stressed. I'm way over my head with the job, and my health wasn't at where it needed to be. I wasn't really taking care of myself. So it was an early stage of cancer. The scary thing is I didn't have any symptoms, and I was getting a massage. I was sitting up, and the masseuse felt a lymph node on my collarbone, and she said, go get that checked out. So she was a lifesaver. I wouldn't have known what the symptoms were because I didn't feel good all the time. So I think, but yeah, I went and got it checked out, and it was an early stage of cancer. And I think the process of going to the doctors was really eye-opening, because they were very scary, very sterile. They didn't ask me any questions about my life, or if I was happy, or my stress, or my sleep, or any of the things that were really important. They didn't ask me any questions. They basically were like, okay, we're going to have to do, you're going to have to freeze your eggs because you haven't had kids yet. You're going to probably have to do a bone marrow transplant. Do you have a donor? Chemo, radiation, you're in for like a long road. And I'm like, wait a second, this is an early stage.
Right.
So they totally freaked me out. And I think that was also a good thing, because the doctor, the way he handled me, I hated the way he handled me. So I went to 2 other opinions, and the one guy that I went to sat me down. He was a radiologist, oncologist, and he goes, it is an early stage, and tell me about your life. And this was 25 years ago, and I burst into tears. I'm like, I'm so miserable. I just moved to LA from New York, and I hate it. And, the job is bad, and just, there was so much I hadn't dealt with, the emotional trauma that I grew up with, and the emotions I was hanging on to were so massive. It was like holding up the world on my shoulders, and I couldn't do it anymore. And when he asked me those questions, I realized, wow, this is what's happening for me. This is a wake-up call. And I fired my oncologist and basically found someone who would just do short-term radiation. And I started, at that moment, I went into therapy and started reading a lot of self-help books and tried to deal with my emotional baggage. And then I did yoga because I was in LA. There was Mrs. Gooch's at the time, which is Whole Foods now. So there were a lot of great, healthy eating. There was a juice place that was really down the street from where I lived. which you didn't see 25 years ago as much. And I went there daily, and I feel like my whole life changed. And I did acupuncture and I did colonics. I mean, I'm one of those that I like to try everything.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like after that, I saved myself from the chemo. Scared me. The idea of having that chemo and not having kids yet really terrified me. So I'm glad it did, and I'm glad I took that other route, but I was scared taking that other route. My family and husband were like, they weren't on my same page. They were so fearful. And there was something inside me that was like, I'm going to kick this. This is not, this is my wake up call. And thank God, knock on wood, it was. But I ended up, they radiated my thyroid because that's where they, on my collarbone is where they found the cancer. So I ended up getting hypothyroidism, Hashimoto's after the cancer. So I still had health issues afterwards. And then also but I did go on to have 2 healthy girls. But 11 years later, my husband was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And I had Hodgkin's lymphoma. So we both had lymphoma. And he battled the lymphoma for a year and a half, 2 bone marrow transplants in a year and a half, which is kind of unheard of. And he passed away of fungal pneumonia when I was 45. Wow. So I didn't just have my, upfront look at cancer. I watched him through the process for a year and a half, battle it. And that was when the real wake-up call came. I was traumatized and the girls were traumatized. And I was like, holy crap, I have to figure out a way to save the family because it was just me now. And, I was the one taking care of my girls and they were not in a good place. So that's when I went back to school just for the family, really, not to become a nutritionist or do what I do today, but just to help us figure out how to deal with trauma, PTSD, emotional baggage, how to deal with illness in a more holistic way, how to eat better so that and also how to teach these girls that just because their parents had cancer doesn't mean that they're going to get cancer. That was what really terrified me because I think we all talk about that. Oh, my dad had dementia, right? Or my dad had cancer, or my mom had breast cancer. So there's a likelihood, such a strong likelihood that I could get it. And when I graduated, I was hired by a restaurant that was pretty hot at the time, actually still pretty hot. It was a raw vegan restaurant in LA called Cafe Gratitude. And they said, could you create like a healthy eating program for us, a cleanse? I knew nothing about cleansing, zero. This was like 8 years ago. I'm like, I know about the master cleanse, but I don't know anything about cleansing. And it was amazing because their food was very cleansing. But I also realized that it was the start to really what my future was going to hold in terms of not going on a cleanse and depriving yourself, of just doing juices or just doing a water fast, which I'm not totally against any of those things. But the idea that our body naturally detoxes and cleanses, and if we give it what it needs, it naturally can get back to a state where it can function and thrive. So,
and I think that's so empowering. Just that alone, is such an amazing way to live and think when it comes to our health. Because oftentimes, and what I've found, especially in the doctor practitioner world, is that there's this mentality of, well, you're going to work with me until, however long, and you're going to be on this medication for how long? The rest of your life, whatever. If you have a thyroid condition or, if you're trying to battle some type of dysfunction. And what that does is it simply just disempowers the person and gets them hooked on something from the outside in rather than from the inside out. So that to me is the cornerstone of everything when it comes to health. And then if you build off of that, you're going to gear your mindset toward this inside out approach, which is not that supplements are bad or medications are in and of themselves bad. I believe that there are things that we can do that save lives every day. But the goal is to get your, like you said, get your body back to homeostasis. And it starts in the head, it's between the ears.
Yes.
And if you can simply just start thinking right along the right lines and really start thinking in an empowering way, then that's so crucial. So I love it. I love that you're talking about this in your journey of, going through food regimens. And then I know that you juice, and I know that you're creating detox soups and all these things. Let's kind of start, I think, from a real practical standpoint, which is, fighting colds, keeping the body healthy, keeping the immune system boosted. What are some things that you do in your daily life to optimize your immune system?
So that's a whole show.
Right. Yeah.
I basically, right. I know. Cause, I prefaced, I know earlier, like you, and you said it, I'm a big juicer. I have been since I was diagnosed. So I would have to say that, I juice pretty much on a regular basis at home, make fresh organic juices, and I drink them right away. So I don't put any fruit in my juices. So I don't do any sugar. I do really simple, like celery, which I don't know if you've heard about the celery craze, the celery juice.
Like increasing hydrochloric acid with it?
Yes.
Is that
and it detoxes the liver, and it like calms down the brain. Yeah. So I do celery, and I do cucumber, which detoxes the kidneys, and I do lemon, which also helps, alkaline and detox the intestines, and ginger, for anti-inflammatory. And I do parsley, which is great for heavy metals. And then I sometimes I just do that simple juice. I cut the greens with lemon and ginger, or I'll rotate my greens like arugula or dandelion greens, or, romaine when it's good, spinach. I'm a little sick of kale, but the juices are like a liquid IV of vitamins and minerals, micronutrients, and they cleanse your blood. And I see so often that what's happening out there is, well, first of all, our guts aren't in the greatest shape. Stress has really created havoc with our guts, antibiotics, birth control pills, even over-the-counter medications, or even all the toxins that we're all flooded with have really destroyed our gut microbiome. Plus, as we talked about a little earlier, our hydrochloric acid has been depleted, the enzymes, from stress. So, the gut is super important for immunity, and it's really crucial to break down the food that we eat to actually get the nutrients into the cells.
Yeah.
So I'm finding these days with clients and with myself as well, that getting nutrients at a cellular level is crucial for actually everything. I mean, it's for health and mental well-being and immunity. So juicing, I love because it you don't have to digest it. It goes right into the bloodstream, right into the cells. And like the soups you mentioned, I do the soup cleanse that I cook and deliver to almost 100 people in LA every other week. And the soups, some are pureed and some are chunky, more are pureed, but soups are easy to digest and they're full of veggies. So that's another great way to get nutrients at a cellular level.
Absolutely.
I'm a big herbalist. I love herbs. I love things like liquid, I take a liquid zinc that is pretty powerful for immunity, and it also protects the organs from.
What do you take? What brand do you take?
I never can say the name of it, but I could spell it. It's called EIDON, and it's fabulous. It's a concentrate. I have just healed myself from Hashimoto's hypothyroidism, and so what I did during that time was lowering my viral, bacterial, and fungal loads in my body. That's another thing that we all have going on. Because we come into the world toxic, the umbilical cord, the mother's milk, everything, right? Everything's toxic. So some of us have a strong immune system. We just cruise through life and it's easy, but some of us don't. And so the last couple of years, I've been using bioactive silver, the Silveron one, and that lowers, it's a natural antibiotic, antiviral. It lowers. And whenever I start to feel sick or want to really build my immunity, I actually put that in water with my liquid zinc. And I also do like high doses of ester C. I'm a big C fan because of just, it helps calm down the central nervous system, which I totally need. And it builds immunity. And, you know, there are so many, like, and I take a strong probiotic. And there's a brand new one on the market. I don't know if you've seen or heard about. It's called Seed, SEED, and it's a human strain probiotic. It's just come on in the last month.
Like F is in Frank.
Seed.
E-E. Okay.
S is in Sam.
Okay, gotcha.
S is in Sam. Seed.
Oh, S is in Sam. Seed. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
and it has it's prebiotic and probiotic. So, because I'm not sure, like the probiotics out there and all of everything that's going on with probiotics, you know, I'm on the fence if they're really working, but for us, and if they really get to where they need to be. So I feel like that, and sleep is also, we know, is crucial.
Yes.
You know, your body resets between 10 and 2 a.m. So those hours are really important for the body to detox and cleanse and, you know, get ready to remove the toxins in the morning and staying hydrated, which I think most of us are dehydrated, even though we drink all this water. We just pee it out because we don't have minerals in our body to like help the water go into the cells. So, and the stress is huge. It's something that I have to deal with ongoing because I'm a high stress, because I grew up in that family.
Right.
I'm a high stress person. So I meditate at least once a day, and I definitely I do a lot of adaptogen herbs to keep me more balanced throughout the day as well. Mm-hmm. Like the ashwagandhas and holy basil, which is one of my favorites. I drink this Tulsi tea that is amazing. Holy basil is like the queen of herbs.
Yeah.
And it helps with stress. So there's so many things I love dabbling in, but I really am a fan of, like we were talking before the show, of liquids or powders, or, you know, not taking a supplement as often because I just think it works faster. And I also like taking things individually to see if they, like, I don't have a reaction to them, because you know how a lot of supplements are combined, and
I love that. So you like to pinpoint, hey, this worked, this really didn't work for me. I like that. So you're kind of you tinker, which I'm the same way.
I think
you know, it's funny. A lot of friends call me a supplement junkie because they're like, you're always experimenting. But I love feeling what works and what doesn't work. And so that requires, you know, me going out on a limb and trying certain things. But, you know, sounds like you're the same way.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yes. I love all of that stuff. It's weird because I think, how did I get to love those, you know, the supplements? I mean, I don't know. So it is fun. And I've seen a lot of change in people going that route, just taking it simple and, you know, not overdoing it and trying one thing at a time to see if it works, and really pinpointing, going to the root, like really lowering the toxin load in the body. That's where inflammation begins. We talk about lowering inflammation, but we don't talk about lowering bacteria, fungal, or viral loads.
Right.
Do we as much? What's interesting is, I think we were saying earlier about not focusing on, you know, the toxin loads in our body that do cause all these health issues. They cause cancer, they cause autoimmune, they cause dementia, Alzheimer's, you know, all kinds of infertility issues. And so what's cool is now functional doctors more so are starting to get on the bandwagon to talk about lowering viral loads and bacterial loads in a more ongoing daily basis. You know, you can't fully get rid of viruses and probably get rid of these things out of your body, but you can lower them, and then the body can function better.
Hey there, Superhuman. Dr. Matt here, interrupting this incredible show, and I don't feel guilty one bit. Okay, maybe a tad, because this is your sacred podcast time. I'm about to make your life 10 times easier and way more delicious with 2 hacks I use all the time. I'm actually using them both right now, actually. One is on my finger, and the other is about to go in my belly. I wear a self-quantification ring that helps me track things that are really important for keeping me running superhuman style. Things like sleep, heart rate variability, respiration for relaxing during stressful events like AT&T keeping me on hold for 20 minutes, and even distance for my triathlete beach runs. It's called the Oura Ring, and the best part about it is I don't have to wear toxic, brain-interrupting Bluetooth on me all day like most self-tracking wearables. Oh no. All the technology is packed into one little ring, and it's able to monitor all these cool stats without full-time Bluetooth. Best part is, I wake up, turn Bluetooth on for 5 minutes, and it downloads it to an app on my phone, and I go about my day not having to worry about Bluetooth all over me. One of the great perks about the ring is it's actually cool. It looks good. You know, making a scene in 2017, if you know what I mean. Hope you laughed at that. You can get the free shipping right now on one of these bad boys by going to Oura, OURA.com, picking out your perfect ring, which comes in pure white, stealth black, or the oh so manly matte black. At checkout, type in coupon code Accurso. That's like my last name, Accurso, ACCURSO, and receive free shipping for a limited time. Now, do you want to know what's in my other hand? The other hack I'm doing is I'm sipping a Superhuman protein shake that I've upgraded with proteolytic enzymes called Masszymes. If you want the secret to getting every last drop of nutrients into those shredded muscles, then you need to be taking this stuff. It breaks down my protein shake beforehand and allows my body to triple the results I get from a workout. You can get 10% off at biooptimizers.com. That's BIOPTIMIZERS, biooptimizers.com. And you can type in Superhuman 10 at checkout. So biooptimizers.com, Superhuman 10 at checkout for 10% off of any and all of their amazing products. Hey, thanks for letting me interrupt the episode. Now back to the show. What have you seen in our culture right now that, talking about toxicity and how, toxins do come through the umbilical cord, they're passed down from generation to generation. What have you seen are some of the most prominent toxins in our culture that are contributing to, cellular toxicity and driving inflammation in the body?
I would say absolutely heavy metals. Most of my clients who eat tuna do test high for arsenic, for mercury, and my clients who eat chicken test high for arsenic. I think heavy metals are really out of control. And pesticides, as we all know, from the produce. And then it's also these, like I was saying earlier, the viruses that we get. And when we get strep or tonsillitis or mono or any of these canker sores, herpes, that kind of stuff, we're given an antibiotic, but it's for bacteria. It's not for viruses. So the viruses do go in and they sort of lay dormant in the organs or where other toxins are. They love other toxins. So they go into the cells and into the organs and they hang out there. And that's been a huge thing. And then when you get stressed and you're not eating well and your immune system's compromised or you go through some trauma in your life, these things all raise their ugly head. And that's what I'm seeing is causing all of these health issues. That's the root. There's a combo of all these things, but I do see the viruses being a huge part of what is not being taken care of and contributing to hardcore health issues.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you see nutrition playing? Because I know a lot of what you do is, based around, okay, what are you eating? And is that actually, optimizing your immune system, or is that actually driving, inflammatory markers in the gut and, in the liver and things like that? I know we talked about a little bit about juicing. Are there, superfoods that you consistently have in your diet that you use, maybe with yourself or with your clients that help to fight infection and help to, cleanse the body of, pathogens and different things that can further drive inflammation and cause disease?
Yes. They say food is medicine for a reason, right?
Yeah.
we just, as a society, don't eat enough cruciferous veggies or leafy greens. Those things are massively powerful in terms of helping detox the body and give the body what it needs and help the organs detox some of these toxins out of the system. So that in itself is huge. I mean, eating and juicing or eating vegetables at every meal is really crucial, and we just don't do that. And I think we've also become a little bit afraid of fruit. I think fruit is the fountain of youth. If you eat it in its whole form, as it was designed to do, because everybody's afraid of the sugar content, but the amount of antioxidants in berries is enormous. So, and goji berries and cranberries and, and cherries. And I mean, the antioxidants are what help lower inflammation. So I think that we're not eating enough fruit. We're not eating enough veggies. Those are really crucial in my book. And there are like herbs out there that are really important for detoxifying, like burdock root, which a lot of people probably haven't heard of, is amazing for helping with detoxing the gut and the liver. And dandelion greens are great at, detoxifying toxins out of the liver. The bitter greens, are huge. And
that is something that's missing,
cilantro.
Isn't that, it's pretty amazing when you look at, you go into our grocery stores and you're, think about the lettuces that we consume and things, that's something that, is missing from our diet are those bitter tastes. Everything it's got a, like a sweeter flavor to it. And if you think about what grows in the wild, there isn't nothing sweet grows in the wild. I mean, apart from, there are berries and things like that, but when it comes to leaves, it's all bitter. And that's one thing I noticed when I went over to Japan was that there's a lot of bitter flavors, especially in the Okinawan diet. And I think it's cool that you're mentioning that, because that is definitely a missing link right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And, of course, we know turmeric is like huge and very popular right now. I mean, that is showing lots of, signs of helping with inflammation, and ginger and things that are just have been around for centuries. Yeah. No, I'm a big fan. I also love algae. I mean, I've been doing like spirulina and chlorella and all of the blue-green algae for probably 10 years now. And they are so powerful in regards to detoxing the body of a lot of these viral and bacterial and fungal things. So, and also like things like oregano oil and, is really powerful for all these kind of toxins to get out of the body. So there is so much. It can be really overwhelming for people, I think. But if you just stick to really going with thinking about, they're definitely probably not having enough raw veggies or even cooked cruciferous veggies, and having some fruit, especially at this time of year, or berries. Just those simple things can really change. And in 5 days, you can reset your body. So if you take sugar, gluten, dairy out of your diet, you can reset and feel better in 5 days.
That's pretty fascinating, isn't it? Just by elimination, not even adding things, you can feel, 10 times better. And you're exactly right. It's so true. Whenever I take sugar out of any of my patients' diets, dairy, grains, any of these conventional foods that drive inflammation, all of a sudden it's like a miracle. But it's not a miracle, because it's just, you're just basically giving your body what it wants and what it thrives off of. Another thing that I'm into right now is sulforaphane, which is found in broccoli sprouts. And it's very, very high in broccoli sprouts. And broccoli sprouts are so easy to grow in your house. Like, I was shocked at how easy it was to put them in a container, drain off some water, and I have this whole bag of broccoli sprouts. And sulforaphane, is awesome to increase longevity and further drive down inflammation, and it's great for the gut and all these things. So it really is not. It's not hard, but you do have to. I always say, you do have to be a learner. Like, put yourself around people like you, people who are, constantly on the edge of, learning the best and the newest strategies for using, food as medicine. I mean, it really is that simple.
Yeah.
No,
I was
go
going to say
ahead.
another great thing, like, with the probiotics and healing the gut too, is those right now there's coconut kefir, which is fermented coconut water with, there's Kavita makes one that's more nationwide, and with lemon ginger has 1 gram of sugar, is really incredible for, giving you some beneficial bacteria without having to take a probiotic pill. And kimchi and sauerkraut, and you probably eat all those things, right?
Don't you love kimchi?
It's so stinky.
Oh goodness, I cannot get used to it. I cannot. Or do you like it? Do you like the taste?
I like sauerkraut. No, I like tempeh, and I like sauerkraut, and I like coconut kefirs and coconut.
Yes.
I make my own coconut yogurt kefir, but you're right. The kimchi is way too stinky.
It's, I know it's good for you, but honestly, every time I try to take it, I gag. Physically cannot get it down. But you're exactly right. I mean, you're mentioning all these avenues that you can get it through. And the cool part is we have access to all of those things. And I'm a big advocate of, as I know you are, of changing the probiotic up and giving your gut new inoculated probiotics so that you can, keep things on edge and really start to optimize that flora inside your gut.
Yeah.
So I 100% agree with you. Going into, just daily rhythms and habits, as far as just your regimen as for peace, I think that's so huge, right? Well, when we talk about mindset, and it obviously you have been down a journey that's really caused you to rethink the way you think, and you're like, okay, so that's leading to, driving disease and dysfunction in my body. How do you optimize peace in your daily life?
It's really by meditating. 5 minutes is huge. I mean, thank God meditation has become so popular, and there's some amazing apps out there, for it. Just recentering myself. And then yoga is my lifesaver. It really gets me out of my head, because I think I still live too much in my head. So, and I am a consistent reflexology foot massage person. There's a Chinese foot spa here that where nobody speaks English, and it is such an incredible experience. Just walk in for an hour and get your feet massaged, and your pressure points are all in your feet. So
yes,
those things. And I'm coming out with an article because I've just actually experienced some sleep issues, and I won't go into that, but the reason why I think the sleep issues came up was because I was working too hard, and I was getting back into the perfectionism mode, and that I had to control everything. So I just am writing an article about perfectionism is killing me. So I'm not always great with these things, and not by a long shot, but this was another wall I had to hit about my perfectionism and then being a control freak. And I think I'm mentioning that because I see so much of it right now with the, just in the environment, in the working world, and with social media. We're way too much of perfectionists, and also we're massively stressing ourselves out. So even doing yoga and doing my reflexology and meditating still didn't help my perfectionism. So
yeah, gotcha.
It's really crucial to get in touch with what is it about yourself that you need to change or need to just be aware of.
Right.
So
what was the last book that you read that really spoke volumes to you as far as your health is concerned?
Interestingly, this breast cancer surgeon, her name is Dr. Christy Funk, and she was Angelina Jolie's breast surgeon, and she started the Lotus Foundation here in LA. She's really, really cool. She just came out with a book about a month ago, and she did a lot of research. And I don't always gravitate towards cancer books, but I was fascinated. She became 100% vegan, and there's a quarter of her book is research. And she also now put soy back into her diet. So this is a really top breast cancer surgeon who is not eating animal protein, because she said there's so much research out there that shows that it increases your risk for obesity, cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, all that stuff. And then she was saying there's no research that really shows that cancer, that soy, really does give you more of a risk. So that was,
wow.
that was fascinating. I know.
Did she talk about the genetically modified element of it?
She absolutely opposed to that. Yeah. Okay. Not that she doesn't, so it's like doing it with, non-GMO. Yeah. That was definitely an issue. But she's promoting this soy smoothie with 2 cups of soy every morning. I wouldn't do that personally, but
yeah. Well, and I do. It's interesting you're bringing that up because again, when I go, I'm in Japan 3 times a year, and the Okinawan diet has a lot of soy in it. And it's these people that are, robust. They're living, the highest number of centenarians in the world. So there's something to that. It is pretty amazing when you go from our country to other countries, and there's certain foods, like for instance, people that have allergies to wheat here, they'll go to Italy and they'll eat 50 pounds of pasta and not have a single symptom. They'll go to Japan and sushi, and they won't have a single reaction to the seafood over there. So we definitely are doing things to our food, right? That doesn't make sense. Yeah. And it's very, very clear when you go to other countries. So I totally get what you're saying. And it's right up my alley, when it comes to toxins. Again, toxins in our foods, cause all these reactions to happen when you take something that, I always say, when you take something that God made and you try to make it man contrived, it just never works.
Yeah. True.
So
true.
Anyway,
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'll get off my soapbox.
No,
So.
No, it's we've become such a processed and sugar and, society. And it's really scary and sad how we've gotten away from eating just real food, like what we did in, a different times in our life or all. It's really, we have definitely gotten into this whole realm of eating on the run and getting packaged foods, and people aren't even thinking twice about it. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. What would you say are some basic steps that somebody can leave this call with, Elissa, to optimize their health today? Like, I know we're talking about a lot. There's a lot out there. If you could give, 2, 3, 4 just steps that someone could take leaving this call to just go after being a person that thrives.
It would be, I know that it's a little bit arduous to go down the road of juicing, but they do sell juices on Amazon for like $160 that Breville, it's Brevill, makes. I would absolutely, if someone really wants to elevate their health quickly, I would absolutely recommend buying one and juicing 7 days and just see how they feel. And if they don't want to do that, I recommend buying a really amazing greens powder that
what do you recommend?
has, I love Amazing Grass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
there are a lot of them out there, but there's so many actually, but they have different tastes, but one that has spirulina or chlorella or, barley juice extract or wheatgrass, or if you can stomach that, and putting it into a smoothie that, we need those, like I said earlier in the call, those nutrients at a cellular level, and somehow to get them so we don't have to digest them. And then I would say, limiting your animal protein to maybe once a day, depending on actually your exercise. But I think animal protein is causing a lot of issues. I mean, I know that there are a lot of paleo people out there and all of that, but I think, really tuning into eating more veggies at each meal and limiting your animal protein and really watching your sugar intake. And I probably could go on, but those are some of the things that I feel are super crucial.
Yeah, for sure.
To do. And you can, even just taking sugar out of the diet and watching how much sugar you do ingest can be huge.
Yeah,
as a step.
It really is that simple. Sugar is in so many foods now. It is ridiculous. I took a huge group on a shopping tour the other day on one of our retreats, and we turned over a bag of salt and there was sugar in it. There's sugar and salt. You turn over.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm like, why is there sugar in salt. We were turning over, some pasta sauces that, are labeled kind of the healthier sauces. There was sugar in those sauces. So it's very clear that there's definitely a partnership going on with sugar companies and food labels, things like that. So, being mindful of the ingredients, I think you're hitting on the head with that.
And I wish we cooked more. I wish people cooked more, but they don't have the time. It's hard.
Right. It is. Yeah. Cooking is I remember, because I'm from a Sicilian family, and I remember my grandma, making these homemade recipes that we still use today. And, Sicilians are not the healthiest eaters when it comes to carbs. We definitely like our pastas and things like that. But you can take old school recipes and you can make them healthy today. Like, for instance, we take a really old recipe that my grandma made, and now we use zucchini pasta. So it's just a way to make it healthier. But, cooking brings people together as well. That's why it's such a really art that we really need to try and hang on to and not lose, because it does so much for the heart as well as the gut.
Yeah. Right? It's a de-stressor when you sit at the table with friends or your family, and it's a home cooked meal and it's made with love.
Yeah.
There is something to that. You feel the love and you relax.
Yep.
That's huge.
It is. It really is. If our listeners out there want to know more about you, Elissa, and what you do in the world, where could they go to learn?
Yes. So I have a website, Elissa Goodman, ELISSA Goodman.com. And every week I do put out a health tip and a new recipe, mostly vegan, but I'm 20% animal protein, so I'm not 100% vegan. So you can sign up for a newsletter, and I do put out a lot of information. I'm on Instagram, on Elissa Goodman. I'm on Facebook and Twitter. And I do have a healthy eating program online that I'd love to offer your listeners. That is a reset program. It's 3 weeks, 21 days of recipes of actual nutrition tips on a daily basis. You get a 15-minute free consult call with me. You get a journal where you keep track of your emotional state throughout the 3 weeks. And it has mantras and affirmations. It has energy healing, tapping, yoga, and meditation. And it has a little bit of exercise like rolling and some other like stretches and exercise. So it's like a full package of resetting yourself. And I would love to offer them that for 20% off.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for that. Yeah, everybody out there is going to love it. So if you guys go to ElissaGoodman.com and check out that program, I know it's going to change your life. If you look online, there's tons of testimonials out there from people that are working with Elissa, because she's just so amazing and one of the most amazing hearts in the health industry. I mean, Elissa and I have not known each other long, but I can tell you that she's a rare one. So check her out for sure. Elissa,
thank you.
Is there any last thoughts that maybe we left out or anything like that you want to mention before we get off the call?
All I want to say is don't ever give up hope that you can heal yourself. I personally think you can heal from anything, whatever it is, and in your life. So I just want to give people hope that you can change and actually get to a place of thriving. I'm 58 and I've never felt better in my entire life. And I never knew what thriving felt like, but I do know now. So it took a long time. I hope that it doesn't take other listeners of your audience that long for them, but it does happen.
Wow. Well, thanks so much for being a pioneer to all of us and a teacher to all of us. And once again, we really appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on, Elissa. And for all of you out there, take those words, run with them, take that wisdom, apply it to your life today. And I look forward to connecting with you next time. Bye, everybody. Hey, World Changer. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Do you desire to gain an unfair competitive advantage in life? Do you want more energy, focus, and clarity to add more life to your years and years to your life? I can almost hear your answer coming through my headphones. A resounding yes. If that's the case, you can go to superhumanentrepreneur.com/hack in order to get your free high performance hack guide. That's www.superhumanentrepreneur.com/hack. My mission is to help activate high performance among 10 million entrepreneurs and their families within the next 10 years. If you're loving the content you're hearing, you can partner with me on this mission by simply leaving a review on iTunes. If you do this now, I'd very much appreciate it. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to giving you even more high performance value next time.